Hey everybody, it's Eric from epautos.com, your libertarian car guy, and I'm doing a quick walk around here of the 2020 Mustang. This is a GT model. The big news for 2020 is that Ford is now offering essentially the GT handling and braking equipment with the EcoBoost 4-cylinder engine that also gets a performance boost up to close to 340 horsepower. Not quite, but close. And that just astounds me as somebody who's been a car journalist for a fairly long time now. And I can dial back my memory to 1995 when Ford let me have a Cobra R competition model, which was basically a race car that they only sold to people who had an SCCA road racing license. And it had a 5.8 liter 351 V8. It had no back seats, it had no radio, had no air conditioning, and it only had 300 horsepower. So consider that. A very limited production, factory-built race car with 300 horsepower. Fast forward about 25 years. Here we are in 2020, and you can get the run-of-the-mill 4-cylinder Mustang with more power and better performance than the race car. And you can get it with air conditioning, and you can get it with back seats even, and carpet and everything else that you'd expect. Just a phenomenal car. Really, there is very little to like about the Mustang, whether you go for the EcoBoosted version or the GT, which comes with 460 horsepower. If you go for the Bullet, you get another 20, and you're up to 480 horsepower. It's an absolutely tremendous vehicle. It's fun to drive. It's great looking, and it's also one hell of a bargain. I think I commented about a week ago about this car in relation to the car that I happened to be driving that week, which was a BMW 850i, which is a wonderful car, beautiful car, impressive car. Very similar car to this Mustang in that both of those cars are two-door, four-seat GT coupes, basically. They're roughly the same size. They both have V8s. They both perform very comparably. The V8, the 850i is slightly quicker, but only by the stopwatch. You probably couldn't tell seat of the pants wise if you drove it versus the GT. Handling wise, again, very close. The fact is that the capabilities of either car are so significantly higher than the capabilities of almost any person who isn't a professional race car driver that it's essentially a meaningless and moot point. You know, you might be able to lap it faster on the Nürburgring if you're a professional driver, but again, not by much. In the real world and everyday driving, both deliver a very similar dose of big fun, but the Mustang delivers it for a whole lot less money. You can pick up one of these things for about $35,000, $36,000. And parenthetically, apologies for the shaking camera. It's freaking freezing here. But anyway, you can pick this thing up for about, the GT, up for about $35,000 or $36,000, give or take. Whereas the 850i starts at about $111,000. So basically, you could easily buy two of these things and put a supercharger kit on both of them and still have money in your pocket for gas and insurance. And so that gives you an idea of just how much performance has been democratized in the last several years. It used to be the case when you bought a really exotic car like that BMW, you got truly exotic performance. There was very little else on the road that offered the kind of power, the kind of performance, and so on that you got in a car like that. Well, now you can get it in a car like this that literally costs a third less, substantially less than that, actually, about a fourth of what the exotic car costs. So the main thing you're getting with that BMW, gorgeous car though it is essentially exclusivity and status. You're not really getting that much more performance. Yeah, you're getting a little, but not a stupefyingly large dollop of it relative to this. Ordinary people like myself, and probably most of you watching this video, can conceivably buy this Mustang. Very, very few people can afford to buy that BMW. So anyway, I'll have more up on the site shortly. There's also an article up about the Harley-Davidson Deadwire, as I call it, their failing electric motorcycle that some of you might be interested in reading. And should have some more stuff too about an UGSM proposal that's been floated to make DWI sensors and distracted driving sensors for safety. be standard in new cars a few years hence to suck a little bit more joy out of driving. So I'll have more up at epautos.com in a bit. Thanks for viewing. We'll catch up with you again soon.